Hey guys, this is Allie with iMore and Pixel Fix, and today we're going to look at how to replace the LCD in an iPhone 3G, 3GS. The process is pretty much the same, but the parts are different, so make sure you order the correct LCD because the cables are different. I've linked to parts in the article, otherwise you're free to use whatever supplier you'd like as well. The process is going to be the same for both. What you're going to need for this is a 00 Phillips screwdriver, a pry tool or spudger. Any kind would pretty much work. I prefer spudgers that have a pointed end and a flat end, but if that's not what you have, that's okay. And then a suction cup. So the first thing we're going to do is power off the device if you have not already. Never perform any repair without turning your device completely off. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to remove the two dot connector screws with your 00 screwdriver. I've already done this to save a little bit of time. And how we're going to remove and separate the digitizer from the main part of the phone is with the suction cup. So what you do is you position the suction cup over the home button. The reason you want to put it down here as opposed to up here is because you've got some cables up here that you don't want to tear. So how I typically do this is I'll position it right here and then hold my hand over here, and we just want to get the bottom up. So, and if you put your finger over here, you'll feel the bottom come up. So we've got the bottom up. You can tell right here. And now what we'll do is we will lift it up gently, but don't pull it up, you'll rip these cables. And then up here in this corner, you've got a number 2 cable, a number 1 cable, and then you're going to have another one underneath this. This one might pop up on its own, that's okay. If not, you can pry it off the logic board with your spudger tool. And then we need to pry up the number 2 cable, which is your LCD. And underneath here, you're going to see a cable labeled number 3. And it's got a little clip that you're going to need to pop up in order to get it out. So just take the tip of your tool, pop that clip up, and then you can back that out, and the front piece will come off of the back piece. So next what we're going to do is you can set your phone aside, and you've got some screws that are holding your LCD into the digitizer. We've already looked at replacing the digitizer, the front assembly. So this is pretty much the same because you'd have to swap out the LCD. There's just a couple things different that you're going to need to do. But we're going to start with removing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws that hold the LCD into the digitizer assembly. Alright, so we've removed the 6 screws, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that hold the LCD into the digitizer. Now we're going to remove the LCD from the digitizer assembly. So set your screwdriver aside and pick up your pry tool, and you're going to want a flat end. If you can see, there's little tracks in here, and that's what hold the LCD in. So typically what I do is I get my pry tool underneath there and pop up one side, and then come back around the other side and pop up that side as well. And then you should be able to get your finger underneath here. There's a little clip up here that holds it in, so you're just going to need to slide it from underneath there. And now your LCD is apart from your digitizer assembly. So now we can set our digitizer assembly aside for a minute. And always try not to get any dust or debris on that. You might want to wipe it off with a cleaning cloth before you put it in. The only difference here is most LCD assemblies that you buy, they're not going to have the frame on it. So you're going to need to remove this frame to put on the new LCD assembly. If it does, great. You just put the new assembly in and you're done. If it doesn't, you're going to need to remove this frame. So typically what I use is I'll grab a razor blade or a small tool, a butter knife would probably work for this. You can try your pry tool. I find them to be too thick sometimes. And there's just some adhesive holding this on. So just run your pry tool or your razor blade or whatever you're going to use along the back of this and along the other side. And this will separate from that. And the backing you're going to need to put on the new LCD. You can use any type of 3M adhesive. Most LCD replacements will come with adhesive on the backing here. It'll be along the edges so it'll actually stick to the LCD frame. So once you've got that, you just position it to where it's even. It'll fit on there exactly flush on the new one. And then once that's in, then we come back to our digitizer assembly. And we're going to slide this under this clip You might need to lift that clip up a little bit with your finger. And it's going to slide right into place. And then you can just push those sides back down. And now we're ready to replace the 6 screws that we took out the first time through. Okay, so we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws back in place that hold the LCD into the digitizer assembly. Now all we got left to do is to reassemble the digitizer assembly and LCD to the main phone. So the only tricky part you're going to see with this is to get the number 3 cable back in that little slot can be a little bit of a trick. So the best way I found to do this is to use something non-conductive like your pry tool and guide it in. So, and then once you've got it in the slot, then you should be able to wiggle the phone a little bit and it'll slide right in there. So let's see if I can do this sideways. Okay, and then all we're going to do is clip this down, and then we are going to reattach the number 2 cable, and you should hear it click in there. There it goes. And then we're going to reattach the number 1 cable, which is your digitizer. Actually, this is going to be your digitizer. Okay, and once that's on there, what you're going to want to do is when you set this back down, you want to make sure the top goes in first because there are little grooves that fit in there. And once you have the top in, drop down the top of your phone. Make sure it's in there good and flush. And that's it. You're going to replace your 2 dot connector screws, and that's how you replace an LCD in an iPhone 3G or 3GS.